Chapter 12. The Trail. Rod drove home in a state of confusion. It drove slowly. It had started to rain heavily, and he could hardly see the road ahead. He thought about Fenella and tried to sort out his feelings for her. On the one hand, he felt reassured by Fenella's obvious confidence in him. On the other hand, he was concerned she didn't know what she was letting herself in for, having so much faith in him. There was something else that was on him, but she didn't know what it was exactly. Something about Fenella gave him feelings he would rather not have. He felt a warm affection for her, which made him want to protect her in some way. He knew this was rational. After all, one of the things that struck him about her at lunch today was her strength. He knew she was an independent woman who could stand on her own 2 feet perfectly well. She made him feel alive again and was attracted to her, as somehow he could be responsible for her happiness. But he didn't like to think about it. He had a wonderful wife at home. As he drew nearer his home, he began to think of the good news he could relate to Leah about his stories. She would be proud of him with shock. Lately, she seemed to have lost some of her respect for him, even though she knew he had not had Dan. It was as if, along with losing his job, however temporarily, he lost some of his manliness. She didn't seem to want him near her very often, she was spending more of her days out at clients' houses. She would not have added a car today, however, and was looking forward to arriving home as he used to, and finding her in her office, perhaps with a meaning of the what Morrisville always had been. And he felt certain the news about his stories would help him get back to normal. As he turned the driveway, he realized that a large car was parked in his usual space, and would have to park out in the lane. He reversed and parked, and then, bending his head against the continuing heavy rain, ran towards the front door. Suddenly, something made him stop. The sound of the rain obviously had drowned out the sound with the approach of whispers, and Leah and her concern were completely unaware of his arrival. Leah was in the arms of Mrs. Simpson from House of the Hill. Her blonde head held back slightly, her eyes shut, as she kissed him on the lips. Rod had no time to think what to do. At that second, Leah opened her eyes, saw him, and pulled quickly away from the man who had seen her look of alarm, swung round, and came face to face with Rod. For a few seconds, the three of them stood in shocked silence. Then Mrs. Simpson climbed into his car, as if nothing had happened, reversed down the drive, turned, and drove fast up a hill towards his home. Leah and Rod were left, the rain dripping off their hair, face to face with each other. Rod looked at Leah and felt himself strangely unmoved by what he'd witnessed. It was as if the pitiful puzzle was suddenly falling into place, as if Leah was taking on the character he had always known was there, but refused to acknowledge fully. He walked past her into the house, surprised at himself, angrily pushing her aside as he went. He dropped his briefcase on the floor and went to the drinks cabinet. He poured himself a large whiskey and sat on the sofa. Anger flowed through him, not anger at Leah, at himself, having been so blind for so long. Leah stood in the doorway. Her hair was untidy from the rain, and from her passionate embrace with the farmer, and her feet were bare. She had clearly only slipped her boots on and wanted to say goodbye to him. In fact, now Rod thought about it, she had probably only just thrown her clothes on before he arrived home. What can I say? Leah began, apologetically. I didn't expect you home just then. I'm sorry you had to wait instead. I really hadn't. You mean you think it was better for me not to know? Asked Rod. Well, with the odd job and everything. Well, I was going to tell you, but then I thought on top of all the other stuff and I went. It was best of you not to know, said Leah. How very thoughtful of you, said Rod. Seriously, Rod, Leah went on, coming to sit beside him on the sofa, putting her arms around him for the first time in weeks. I wanted to tell you, it's been terrible keeping this secret from you for so long, but I just didn't think I'd be able to bear it on top of everything else. So, how long has this been going on? Asked Rod. Strangely, he felt relieved to think it had started as a result of what happened in school. Ever since I first got in contact with him, Leah said. I may as well tell you now. We've been attracted to each other for a while before that, but neither of us had admitted how we felt.